Welcome to the Legacy Leaders Podcast. Are you doing the best for your client to help them create their legacy? Are you creating a plan that goes far beyond finances to help people ensure that it becomes the driving force behind all decisions? On this podcast, hosts Katie Beth Hand and Stan Miller will help you with growing your practice and your client's peace of mind. Together, they bring the best and brightest minds to share with you how to help your clients develop their best legacy. And now, here are your hosts, Katie Beth and Stan.
Welcome to the Legacy Leader Podcast. I'm your guest, Jeff Kritzberg. With today, my guest speaker, Sarah Ulibarri. Did I say it right? I said it wrong or didn't I?
Oh, you're good. Yeah.
Let's start over.
This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome to the Legacy Leader Podcast. I'm your guest host, Jeff Kritzberg. Today, my guest speakers are Sarah Ulibarri and Danielle Guerrero, estate planning attorneys with Saul Ewing LLP. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining me. Our podcast gives us the opportunity not only to get to know different professionals in their field, but to get to know more about them personally and more about what you guys do. So today we'll start with Sarah. Why did you get into law as to start off with? What made you choose law as a profession?
How much time do we have? No. So I always liked watching different crime dramas. I'm a true crime kind of junkie, and I was the one following the O.J. Simpson trial when I was in fourth grade. I don't remember now, but I always enjoyed that sort of thing. And then I went to undergrad and I took the LSAT and didn't do great. And I thought, I could never do this. I will be a nurse, but I hate blood. So that didn't happen. So it just fell into it. I worked for a law firm and I was a paralegal for 5 years, and I decided, let's try it. And law school worked out, and I tried every type of law while in law school, so I could figure out that I didn't like other things. And probates and trust and estate planning was what really excited me because I could connect with my clients. And I don't do any litigation, which also helps my quality of life. I can connect with clients over their entire lifetime and create a relationship that I really value, and they become more of my friend while helping them. And that was kind of the reason I like the law. I like to help people, and not everyone has the ability to analyze something. So if I can step into their life and analyze it, fix it, give it back to them, and then keep going, I find my purpose that way. So long-winded way of saying that's how I found it.
Being able to help people adds a little satisfaction as in long-term, you get to see the fruits of your work come through.
Yeah, definitely. And it is funny with my kids when they tell people, what does your stepmom do? And they're like, oh, she talks to dead people. No, that's not quite it. But yeah, I know.
You're reading their wishes.
I know. That's always an interesting topic with parents. But yeah.
Talks to dead people.
Yeah.
Is it on your business card?
I know. I thought about it for one point, but no, I think it's taken by the Sixth Sense or something.
Awesome. How about you, Danielle?
I go even further back. I decided to be an attorney when I was 6 because someone told me I argued really well. Yeah. But no, I never wanted to do litigation, just like Sarah. What I liked is knowing the rules. I'm a big, rule follower, right? And I liked knowing the rules for life, but I didn't know what that meant yet. And so I went into transactional. I originally was going to be in the sports and entertainment industry, but ended up in trust and estates and really loved it because I found out that you could know the rules for handling an estate that everyone has to know at some point, but no one's going to learn until they have to actually go through that process.
Right.
So for me, it's really helpful to just sit down with people and say, here's everything you need to know about something you never wanted to go through, but I'm going to go through it with you that you know how to do this process.
Exactly. I have those same kind of conversations when we talk about life insurance, and it's a question of some people are like, I don't want to talk about it because we're talking about death, or maybe you're going to jinx me or something like that. And again, it's preparation for the future. None of us live forever, and we got to take care of what's going to happen when that day comes, whether it's unexpected or after a long life. Both the estate planning is all part of that, and what's going to happen and how do you want your wishes for it to take place at that point? So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is the only area of law that I teach as well. And I tell my students the only area of law that this is 100% guaranteed.
Exactly.
No other areas of law can you say that, but I can guarantee you will die. So
death and taxes, right?
Death and taxes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what brought the both of you to Saul Ewing?
I made the first jump, like we were saying before. Danielle and I worked at a prior firm together for many years, and I decided to branch out and try and learn more on the tax side. So there's higher net worth at the firm to be able to expand my horizons and knowledge. And then I was here and I liked it, and I knew that I wanted to work with my best friend. So I hammered her for I don't know how long, because I was just like, please come and join me. This is amazing. And eventually she succumbed to my begging, and then she joined the firm afterwards. Yeah, that's pretty much my story.
Yeah, Sarah and I have known each other for several years now. And I had brought her into our prior firm, and we worked together for a few years. So when she left, it wasn't quite the same. And she assured me that this place was everything we wanted it to be and more. And so I made the jump about 6 months after she came to the firm, which was great because a couple months later, the firm merged with a national firm that had more of an East Coast presence. And we went from working with Southern California clients to having access to clients and referral sources all over the country.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Having the ability to have a client local, but help them nationwide if they have properties or estate in other places, and not have to turn that over to somebody else and keep that within the same company, obviously gives you a comfortability factor with your client and builds confidence, obviously, that a client will want to work with you guys, and obviously gives you a leg up on maybe a local firm that doesn't have a nationwide presence, that can't handle someone with that type of needs.
Yeah, it's been really great. I had a couple of clients come with me from my prior firm, and then shortly thereafter move to Florida from California. And where I normally would have had to find them Florida counsel, we were able to just introduce them to the Florida attorneys within Saul Ewing and maintain that client relationship. I was also working on a charitable gifting plan at the end of last year involving a New York condo. And even though the foundation we were working with was based out of Los Angeles, we were able to just call up our New York counsel to review the documents, make sure everything was being handled correctly on the New York side without losing that client.
Or losing any time trying to find that too.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly, definitely. And going back to the two of you working together, having a best friend or a good friend at the office obviously makes your days a lot more enjoyable, at least most of the time, right?
Every single time.
Yeah.
Not most of the time.
Yeah.
We work very well together. We bounce off of each other.
Yeah. We've always complimented each other in personalities. And Danielle she's been practicing longer than I have, so she has a deeper well of knowledge, so I can go and ask her questions. And then because it's my peer and my friend, sometimes it's hard to talk to someone who's been more experienced because you feel like judged or anything like that. That's not what Danielle does. So it's nice because you can just completely give everything all at once. And then you're just like, I don't know that I'm thinking about this correctly. And she says it really nicely. But yeah, we work on pretty much all different types of, that's the cool thing about estate planning, right? You're not just dealing with the probate code. You're not just dealing with one aspect of the law. You're dealing with someone's life, and it's everything that they have, all different types of assets, all different types of issues. So every day it's different. It's crazy. I had one judge I clerked for, and she would say it's family law on steroids. It's the craziness that you have experienced before and then throwing all the rest of their life in. So I learn something every day, literally. You just never stop. Yeah.
Well, it's a perfect segue to my next question. So what is your ideal client?
Ideal client is somebody who will take what I'm saying and take it in and be reasonable and thoughtful with it and work with me and provide information so I can dig through and give them the best results. I like working with anybody. We do have like a cap just because of our pricing. So we want to make sure that we're not doing this an elaborate plan if you have a really small estate. It really just depends. Like I said earlier, I like to teach. I teach at my alma mater. And so if I do have a client that calls me and they have a very modest estate, I'll just take 10 minutes to just talk it through with them and maybe refer them to someone else. So at least they have the confidence when they go to someone else to know what they're informed and they know what kind of plan they're looking for. Because at the end of the day, I'm not that kind of attorney that's going to pitch with fear. I want to pitch with information. So we're all going to need this. We're all going to pass. We're all going to be in the same situation. So these are the basics. And yeah, ideally, our clients have a certain net worth because then you get the tax planning and all that kind of stuff. But
what's in a ballpark? What kind of estate or net worth you're looking for?
I would say most of our clients, the very low end are in the 5 to 10 million range.
Okay.
Just because, and that's going to be your basic planning, right? They're not likely to be taxable even after the TCJA sunset happens. But we have people in the hundreds of millions of dollar range as well. And it's Orange County, right? You have access to a lot of people here with a lot of family wealth.
Yeah, especially with real estate in California. When you have multiple real estate properties, your wealth is going to go up pretty substantially.
The average price of a house, if you have more than one, you're almost you're getting too close to your net worth that you're looking for.
Exactly.
Yeah, I found that I think the two niches that I enjoy working with the most are typically widows who are learning to manage the estates and the wealth for the first time. Because you get so many women in the 60 to 70 and 80-year-old range who've never been responsible for any of that, especially at the higher wealth stages, right? Because you typically will have a family business or the husband was bringing in a lot of money, so you had a stay-at-home mom who didn't have to know what to do. So where Sarah talks about educating people, I love educating those widows because it's the first time that they've had control. Mm-hmm. And then I really also enjoy getting into the generational planning. I'm working with one family right now where it was actually the son who contacted me because he's looking at, his parents are aging and he wanted a handle on what to expect when, the expected happens. And it turned out they needed some changes. They needed some education on what their plan looked like. And so you're able to start at the parents and then do trickle down planning. And that's just really fun because by the time the children are in that position to manage the trust, they have a great handle on what their job looks like. Mm-hmm. So it's just really the educational aspect.
Yeah.
It's a lot of great points. Yeah, with going back to the widow or we just say in general spouse situation, I run into that all the time as well on the financial side where one spouse it was the breadwinner or in control, even just the control of all the passwords and all the accounts, and the other spouse doesn't know any of it, doesn't know where the paperwork is, doesn't know where all the documents are, and they've never had to pay the bills or log into online to pay a bill or those types of things. And it's a very frightening and whole new world for when that situation pops up and they're all alone, or they can feel all alone and they're very nervous. And then you may have people out of the woodwork saying, oh, I can help you with this and that, and take advantage of them. So the education of them as quickly as possible to get them up to speed is important, and for them to succeed in that situation. And then the other point about having your family education is also important. Try to help clients say, hey, let's get the kids involved. Let's have a estate meeting. Let's talk about what you have. Get them involved. Some parents are not comfortable telling them, and some kids don't want to talk about it. But it's super important that they know what the plan is ahead of time. One, so they know, and the other one is there's siblings involved, and you can hash out some of those arguments ahead of time and avoid those arguments in the future when we think that siblings love each other until money gets. I'm sure you've seen lots of examples of that.
Yeah.
Which is another great segue. Tell me a story, if you have one, about where you've run into a client or an estate where the nightmare scenario, or just an estate gone wrong, or just not planned, and you came in and had to, anything come to mind?
Too many.
You can plan as much as possible. There are situations where parents want to plan, or they say control from the grave. So you have super restrictive plans that just aren't conducive with children's lives, and you're trying to pull things back, or you've had situations where people come out of the woodwork and you didn't know about a certain child or something, or you have the relationships with an estranged parent who has a kind of crazy significant other that doesn't get along with the children, and then the parent passes, and now you have these two feuding people who one doesn't really have a stake, but they said they had a stake, and now you're all these different things. Ideally, like we said earlier, Danielle and I don't handle the litigation. So if we have a client where we like to say nicely, where it's messy, and we need to hand it off to our litigation team, they'll fix it, and then they come back to us and we just carry out the plan. I like to tell my clients that I'm just Oprah. You get a check, and you get a check, and you get a check. That's what I do. So if you have an argument, we're going to call the litigation counsel, because I'm just allergic to litigation. But anybody that
right there, allergic. I talk to dead people, and I'm allergic to litigation.
I know. It's just I got a lot of.
We need to work on your license plate. We need to work on the license somehow. Yeah, with one of these tags.
It's very I have a lot of them. I throw them out there a lot, but I couldn't pinpoint one crazy story. But the stories that I enjoy are in administration, not necessarily planning. So administration, after someone passes and we're carrying out the trust objectives, it's the assets that they find. I had one client pull up the floorboards and find coins, like gold coins and firearms.
Wow.
And
Disneyland tickets.
I forgot about the Disneyland. I had one case where it was a hoarder situation, and it took 16 dumpsters full of trash to clean out the house, and it was in Old Town Orange, so it was
a tear down.
Oh, it was total tear down. Historic property, so they wanted to build it up for the community. But they found a box of Disneyland, like booklets of those tickets that they used to have. Exactly, and you tear them out. And there was like 17 or 18 different books, and they have 10 tickets each. And it was a probate, so we had to have the probate appraiser or probate referee go and get those appraised. So he took the booklets to Disneyland to get a value, and they're looking through them, and these don't have expirations.
Wow.
So that means each individual ticket was worth the value of an entrance ticket at today's price.
Wow.
So that increased the property value of over $40,000, just those tickets.
On auction, you may have people that want to buy them for a lot more than that.
I have people who are just trying to get a 4-pack that are losing their mind.
Do you remember what happened to them?
Oh, so yes, I do. So we've had many beneficiaries because he didn't have a will. So we had to find people
or children.
So it was
all nephews and stuff like that.
Exactly. It was extended family. And finally, one of them, I think, came in to pick up her tickets, and she put them on top of the roof of her car and drove away. And they were gone.
Yeah. So Sarah went through all this work to identify the tickets, to get them appraised, figure out how to divide them up, just to have them literally blow away in the wind.
Literally blow away. It was, that was a good one. But the cool stories for us are like the assets, the crazy things that people have, because that's the story of their life, right? How did they get it? How did they acquire this? How are they giving it away? What does it go? And like Danielle has experience in a project that she was doing with copyrights and like all the different nuances for that. And it's just cool. You learn something. That's where we geek out. That's where we love to treasure hunt these people's lives. Yeah.
I do remember there was one pretty sad litigious case, but not litigious within the family. In that one, you had the one spouse passed away after a long illness, and then the surviving spouse had one of those caregiver situations where shortly after the first spouse passed, caregiver latched onto the surviving spouse and started isolating the surviving spouse and Within a year, the surviving spouse had a medical emergency, and the kids got involved and started to notice a lot of stuff was missing. A lot of things had been done. And then on top of it all, you had also the advisor who was coming in and taking advantage all at once. So that was one where I did bring the litigation team in because it got really big, really messy, really fast. And we were able to get it all finished and fixed up and get rid of the bad actors in the family. But it was one of those things where you've seen it on TV or you've read it in an article, and then we were watching it play out in front of us with people that we knew and were working with in a completely non-litigated fashion, but who had just had every bad thing happen one after another.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Any specific areas of estate planning that you'd like to favor, more like special needs trust or stuff like that? Or
great segue, Jeff. Yes, I love special needs trust. I love special needs beneficiaries. That's what I want to delve more into.
That's actually what Sarah and I were both doing when we met each other.
Yep.
We were both working for sole practitioners who had very specialized special needs practices.
Mm-hmm. And that's because I get to, like I said, in all of these situations in estate planning, you get to know the family. You become almost like a family attorney because they come to you with all these different issues, and maybe you have to farm out to different types of attorneys, but you're their person, their counselor, to help them through these separate issues. And special needs trust planning is really special to me. I just think there's so many pitfalls that people can, and these parents are such huge advocates for their kids.
Right.
And they've had to go through so much, either through getting diagnosed, to fight for benefits or lawsuits because their disability came on from something that happened at a hospital or something. They've become advocates, and all they know how to do is fight for their kid, and they want someone else to sit there and help them fight for their kid. And that's what I just love about it. And I can help you fight. I can help you get these things. I can help put these in place so that your kid is taken care of, because that's their biggest fear, is when they pass away, who's going to take care of this kid?
Right.
They are the ones who have taken this on as not only as a parent, but this is their full-time job. And they want to make sure that the person that's going to take their place has that same care and that passion that they do. And so that's what I liked working with them.
Sarah does a really great job of creating flow charts to help educate them on the special needs planning and what trusts are. And she's built this tribe of people. It's not the right word. This collective of people who can come together and support that special needs child while the parents are here and then afterwards. So that's how we work with a lot of professional fiduciaries, benefits advocates. We even, in a group of friends that we have, know a financial advisor who specializes in special needs trust accounting and investments to make sure that the way the portfolio is being invested complies with court accounting and the special needs trust accounting requirements. So she's built this group of people to come together and support parents of special needs children.
Yeah, because it takes a village. So it's not just one person who's they're going to come to me with a legal issue, but I don't want to charge them for every single question where they could go to someone else and run through. You have boots on the ground to help them get into a home that will help independent living, or a separate person who's going to be calling incessantly to Social Security to make sure that these things are taken care of and their deposits are being made. I don't need to do that. You can hire them at a much lower rate and get what you need. That's all. At the end of the day, you just need somebody to help you get what you need. And that's sometimes I feel gets lost in administration. Yeah, that's my special heart thing once I can get that running. But I love it. Yeah. And what's yours, Danielle?
I love getting into the tax side of things. Sarah and I, that's why we complement each other, right? We have different interests and different passions. But I actually, a week ago today, finished a tax LLM program. So I'm very excited to graduate in a month.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a long 3 years going through that while working and dealing with COVID and all of the things, right? But what I enjoy is understanding and explaining the tax concepts in a way that helps clients make the best decisions about their planning. People can say, here's the default structure, but I like to explain to them, if you make this gift right now, yes, you're going to gift and use up your gift and estate tax exemption, but you need to consider the income tax consequences, or you need to consider the property tax consequences, and you need to weigh the cost benefit of each thing you're trying to do so that you're not going through the hoops of all of this planning for one tax just to fall prey to a different tax. Mm-hmm. And people can get very overwhelmed. I know you know that. And what I like is being able to lay it out and literally put the numbers on a spreadsheet and show them why they should or shouldn't take that next step before they do it. Because you can't unring some of these bells. And that's the saddest thing, is when the bell's already been rung and then they come talk to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to go to a professional that could put it who knows the answers, put it out there in writing, as opposed to them looking on TikTok and watching a video that says,
absolutely.
Hey. Oh, yeah.
As knowledgeable as some people might be, there are so many nuances that get lost in a 30-second TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
I understand this. My mom will send me Instagram reels and TikToks and say, is this true? And then I have to send her a long paragraph about why it might be true for 1%, but the other 99 should not do what that person is advising.
Yeah.
It's missing the other 2 hours of explanation behind the, hey, you can save all of this, and don't have the 100 different things that you need to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then people become, all I need to do is this. But
yeah, it's exactly. It's clickbait for them. Yeah. And that's the other pitch strategy, is just like the fear of, I don't know this. And no, you don't need to fear it. We can tell you. It's no problem.
That falls right in line with, I wanted to be an attorney to tell people the rules. Exactly. When this helps people feel informed so that when they make a decision, mm-hmm. they're owning their decision. Mm-hmm. And I want to make sure they have the information they need to own that decision.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That is when we talk about needing a professional to explain to them all the nuances and details. How do you get new clients? How do clients find you?
It's just by knowing the different individuals like yourself in certain areas. So CPAs, financial advisors, fiduciaries, or you're in the best position to know what your client needs. And then you just work hand in hand with an estate planning attorney. Like we said before, everyone's going to need an estate planning attorney. Either you plan and carry out your wishes after your passing, or you don't, and then you need a probate attorney. So one or the other, it's going to happen. So those relationships with those types of professionals connect us.
So the way Sarah and I met was we actually were introduced by a professional fiduciary who was working with a handful of local estate planning attorneys at the beginning of their careers. And she got us together for a dinner with her son, who was joining her practice as a fiduciary. And she made sure we all knew each other, mm-hmm. because we were isolated with different firms and different sole practitioners' offices. And she thought we could use community. And that was in December of 2016. Mm-hmm. So since then, we turned that little dinner into a collective of probably 60 or more professionals that all touch trust and estates, whether they're realtors, accountants, investment advisors, attorneys, fiduciaries, and we meet monthly. And with that group, we've developed a really great core of people that we know personally and enjoy spending time with. We're friends. We're not going to networking groups and exchanging business cards. So now when I have a client who doesn't have family and needs to name a trustee, I go to my group of professional fiduciary friends and I figure out which one of them is probably best suited for that client. Same with Sarah. When she had the probate with the hoarder house, we contacted a really great realtor friend of ours who specializes in those types of properties and gets hands-on in them.
She did great. Yeah.
So that's one of the ways that we develop these relationships, because we want to know who best to fit with our clients. And then in turn, we know that when we're the right fit for their clients, we already have that relationship in place.
Yeah.
And nothing better than a good referral to someone that you're comfortable with. It makes it a lot easier and keeps the clients more confident that you're dealing with the right people.
There's nothing worse than referring a client to someone who ghosts them, right?
Yeah. Or does a terrible job and overprices and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, or just cutter using the Office Depot pre-filled out form and just writes in the details and charges a flat fee for it. The more personal touch you can give, the more chances of success, right? And seeing that outcome that you want come to fruition and not anything left out, and go through all the details and have that personal care, is what you're looking for.
Yeah, the people we work with, they have our cell phone numbers, right? Yeah, they know how to get in touch with us anywhere. Mm-hmm. They're not just LinkedIn messages.
Yeah. And in estate planning, your clients, it's not just a name. It's you built a relationship. They become part of your, or at least for me, they become part of my family. Like, I want to make sure that they're taken care of. So if I have a family member, I'm not just going to send them to someone. I want to make sure that they send them somebody who's going to take care of them. Exactly. So yeah, it's definitely, it outreaches. And then
so we try to do the same.
Yeah, we try and do the same. Yeah, exactly.
We want to be that same person for someone else.
That's fantastic. It's all great stories, and sounds like there's a lot of personal touch on your end. What would you say is the benefits or the reason people or your firm is successful? What stands out about your firm as a whole compared to other firms? Why would people come to Saul?
You want to start? Yeah. I know one of the reasons I came to Saul was the way that Sarah described their relationships with their clients. And that also goes to the relationship of the client with the firm. We want to make sure that we are not just a cookie cutter firm, and the documents we're producing are thoughtful documents that take into consideration each client individually. So although we all start with a set of templates, those are very much customized by the time they get to the final document that the client is signing. And so the clients that want that level of service are going to come to us because they know that they're going to get it. I've seen so many people who seem to want that level of service because they come to us after they've seen other attorneys and their prior work product was cookie cutter. And so knowing that client got mismatched with a firm that was just going through clients one after another before they came to us, we want to make sure that we're providing that extra level of service to those clients because they're looking for it. And so when you have people who want to be walked through the process the way that Sarah would walk a special needs parent through it, they're going to find that here with additional resources in different departments, different offices, different states that they maybe wouldn't find at a different firm.
Yeah, and just piggyback on that vast amount of knowledge. It's great for me to be able to, I have a specific trust administration where I'm representing a beneficiary and there's possible mismanagement by the trustee. I can reach out to one of the partners on the East Coast who has experience just doing forensic audits, and he's going through all of that because I don't have that experience. He used to work for the DOJ. He's going through everything. Being able to literally just call him and say, hey, can you look at this document at any time? It's a level above. I have so many different resources. Our well is very deep.
And actually, Saul's very invested in resources in terms of in technology. Mm-hmm. So we have a robust infrastructure that is just internal so that we can actually find the information, find the documents, find the samples, find the right person very quickly. And there's more that we understand is being rolled out in the next year or two where the firm will actually have almost its own wiki to access. Okay. Nice. Yeah, to access information and knowledge that other attorneys have researched and developed in forms and language so that we can even better help service the client with the best possible product that we can come up with internally. And so the fact that we merged with Saul Ewing and are able to give our California clients that extra level of service that we couldn't a year ago is just really incredible for them.
Ooh, fantastic. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
We're here to help whenever you have questions. But the best thing sometimes I find that individuals who are sending us work, we want to make sure that your client is taken care of. So if you're referring something to us, just know that's our job, is to make you look good by doing our best job. Right.
And I find that's actually the best way to built, right, is to do great work for your existing clients.
Mm-hmm.
And so we really try to keep that in mind because, like Sarah's talking about, developing that relationship, there's no better relationship. A client who's incredibly happy and satisfied with our work is going to tell people that. Mm-hmm. And so that's incentive for us to continue doing that same level of work for everyone that comes in.
Right. It's obviously there's no better referral than someone saying, "Hey, I had this great experience." And on the flip side, if you had a bad experience, they even tell more people. So
they do, and we don't want that negative energy.
No, definitely not.
So we're always striving to give our best to each client.
Yeah.
Well, fantastic. Well, it's been a joy talking to the both of you. Thanks for listening. This has been the Legacy Leaders Podcast with your guest host, me, Jeff Kritzberg. My guests were Sarah Ulibarri and Danielle Guerrero, estate planning attorneys with Saul Ewing LLP. For more information on Sarah and Danielle and the work that they do, visit their website at saul.com. We also will put the link in the show notes for you. And I'd like to say thank you to Sarah and Danielle for joining me today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You've been listening to the Legacy Leaders Podcast with Katie Beth Hand and Stan Miller. For more information on them and the show, please visit pinnaclelegacylaw.com. If you like what you've learned today, do share the program with your friends and subscribe wherever podcasts are found.